Yo people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for another video. Big up your damn selves in the building. Make sure you smash up the likes every single damn time and subscribe if you are new. Welcome to the Wolves versus Chelsea preview. And I said to you explicitly, emphatically, that things were going to change around here and that you've only seen half the job. And of course, the big Don Dada desk has arrived. And to be honest, I'm going to have to get a different lens so you guys can really see the full scale of this desk. It's a beautiful piece of wood. Pause. However, we're here and things are, we've got options. NSG. And this preview is one of those ones where we've got to get right into it because I watched the press conference and I don't usually talk too much about the presser because the questions are usually dry and they're usually not necessarily important for the preview in terms of it's just the generic stuff. But this time, beautiful questions were asked by my sister, Ray. And if you don't know her, the link will be in the description. You need to follow her on Twitter. She's quality. The fact that a lot of people don't know her is crazy. But if you heard those questions for Madueke today and the centre-back situation, the back four being full of centre-backs, which we all wanted to know why, those questions were asked. So that's why I'm gonna talk about it because it's relevant now to the team and what we pick and what we think. Now, the question was asked fantastically in terms of why are you playing four centre-backs across the back four? You have full-backs. Now, we knew Gusto going into the game against Newcastle was coming off an injury. So I wasn't shocked to see him out of the 11. That's understandable. We knew why he wasn't in the team. He came off the bench. He then played left-back, which was a shock because I've never seen him play left back in my life. But he was good. To be fair to him, he was good. But obviously, Maatsen was there, so it looks a bit mad. Maatsen does eventually come on. So the question is, what's going on? Because we've seen it a lot this season, centre-backs in wide areas, mainly because of injuries, but also sometimes just because of preference, maybe height. Now, he did answer the question half. He did speak about Gusto. He said, listen, he didn't start because he wasn't fully fit or, he's just come back from injury. But he didn't answer why Colwill is playing ahead of Maatsen at left-back. Now, we can keep assuming it's because of height. And it probably is maybe somewhat to do with that. But again, we know that Colwill at left back just doesn't get to utilize his passing range the same. He is starting to, show signs in that role that he does carry the ball forward. He does contribute in some capacity. But in terms of his natural position, we know it's centre back. So he didn't really answer the question, which was a shame because I would have liked to have got a real reasoning as to why Maatsen is just absolutely not used in any sort of sense at left back. We haven't seen him there once. Seen him at right back, if anything, at times. So that was a shame, but it is what it is. And we know Poch went a little bit frustrated, a bit aggressive in the press conference as well because people were asking him about Nkunku and he's been always asked why, is Nkunku going to start and all these things. And he just started absolutely ranting on about, players and, not rushing them back from injury, which I agree with. And that's why Nkunku not coming off the bench against Sheffield United didn't really bother me. He then comes off the bench in midweek for 21 minutes. He's not going to start this game. For people that were hoping and thinking that Nkunku was going to start this game, he's not. If there's one thing that I will give Poch a big credit for is he's not rushed players back from injury from what I can remember. They've all been eased in, slowly integrated. Badiashile is another one. He's not rushing players back and I don't want him to because we've already had enough injuries. We already have enough scares and issues with players picking up knocks in training. Madueke's now looking like he's going to be back. A question was asked on him. The answer was simple. You need to improve your level. You need to compete for your position. There's a lot of competition. It is what it is. But I don't want players rushed back from injury because we're desperate, right? Because all we're going to do is just absolutely crucify them in terms of their injury is going to, come back again, and then we're not going to have them for a longer spell, and we're going to damage that player's long-term career and future at this club. So we need to have that in mind. And Nkunku's not going to start. He'll be on the bench. So the team kind of picks itself in a way because we have a lot of injuries. If you want a full list of those injuries, keep following and the scroll bar down below. That's the list. That's the thesis. That's the documentary on how many injuries we have because it will take me 10 minutes just to go through them all. But that's the situation. Now, Middlesbrough, I don't know if you saw that. The last piece of content I did was Middlesbrough, reaction to the draw. I got a little bit giddy. I forgot to turn the camera off. You know what I mean? Wink, wink. But yesterday, we had to go AWOL. We was doing so much content, but just couldn't do it here, sadly. But you're going to see something quite special coming out very, very soon. Shout out my brother, Culture Cams, Fuad, Maze, and Liaz. So But in terms of that Middlesbrough draw, the dates are going to be first leg, 9th of January and 23rd of January, of course, as well. So excited for those. I'm confident. I'm sure you guys are excited as well. It's something to look forward to. It's good. But we turn our attention to the Premier League. So we've gone through the press conference stuff. We've gone through the injuries and the frustration from Poch and all that kind of stuff. Let's get to the game. Wolves away, our record there is not great, right? Recent results have been disappointing, have been poor. I remember Matisse Nunes smacking in one against us recently. It's been tough. Pedro Neto, we'll see, touch and go. He could be on the bench for this game. He could be back. Regardless, Chan is playing well. There's other players for Wolves that are contributing and bringing something to the side. They're going to be difficult. I've seen them play it about this season. They play decent football. They've been at times, I guess you could say wasteful up front, as ourselves, but they do knock it about well under Gary O'Neill, and they can put up a performance. And it's not going to be easy. We know that. I don't think I need to tell anybody here that we are going to have another tough day at the office. Those 2 previous wins, great for morale. Great for the fan base, getting through on a cup final. The atmosphere at the Bridge was fantastic against Newcastle. They're slapping the metal boards, the penalty shootout, the Mudryk, the grabbing of the neck of Bruno Guimaraes, the Petrovic save. All of that stuff is wonderful. But you know what's more wonderful? Putting back-to-back wins in on the Premier League table and making sure that you are only going up in an upward trajectory. You're taking a look at the run of fixtures that we have coming up. They are favourable. And I only say favourable because they're teams we should be beating. But right now, we can't bank anything because this team is too inconsistent and too knee-jerk. So, am I confident for this game? Again, I'm not going to get over the top with it because I don't think the recent performances shouldn't really have distorted our vision too much. I think there's some positive signs in there, but there's still some things that need to be fixed, and I think the manager also comes into that. But I'm optimistic. Love that word, don't we? We love it. Optimistic. Now, my team is on screen. It has played a part with the press conference because at this point, there's no point me saying that Maatsen can start at left back because he can't. Clearly, he's not going to play there. So Levi Colwill goes left back. Petrovic is obviously in goal. Centre backs, I have again gone with Badiashile, but I am going to go with Silva next to him with Gusto at right back. I did toy with the idea of going with Disasi. I think in my own brain, if I can explain this, when and if Maatsen was playing left back, I would probably then look more towards Disasi because we need an extra bit of help in the air because we've now gone and sacrificed a sacrificial lamb at left back, sacrificial Sunday at left back with Maatsen. Aerially, I expect him to be probably poor. He's quite small. If he surprises us, great with that leap. But that's my thing. Where we got Colwill now, I feel like Disasi, his aerial dominance is great, but now we can afford to compromise here and get Silva in there. Obviously, you know what he brings to the team when he's on form. And so then we go to the midfield. I think it's clear it's going to be Caicedo and Gallagher. Enzo is injured. They said they're assessing him. Even if you are assessing him, I wouldn't risk him. At best, he'll be on the bench. But for me, Caicedo and Gallagher played brilliantly. Gallagher, fantastic in the last game. And press resistant, aware, touch, everything, evading the pressure. Beautiful. Nearly scored. Caicedo, really good on the ball. So happy with that, especially in the first half from those guys. So they can stick together. Lavia, again, you need to be tentative. You need to look after him. You need to clothe him. You need to feed him. You need to give him warmth. You need to give him love. You need to give him lemons. Don't expect Lavia to be in the starting 11 for the rest of this calendar year. He'll be on the bench, I'm sure, maybe this game, maybe the game after. I'm not in a rush. I'm good. I'm easy breezy. If we see him in, the new year, that's what I'd expect. And then obviously, we know in the front line, we have Palmer in the 10. So who else are we going to play? Obviously on the right, Sterling, left, Mudryk. Build up some confidence from that late equaliser. And then, of course, the penalty, which was really took my breath away. Literally, I nearly died. Up front, Jackson and Broja goes to the bench. I think, and moving on to the transfers as we come to the end, I feel like we know that we're linked with a striker. We've been linked with a Sporting Lisbon striker. We've now been linked with a Sporting Lisbon centre-back. I am going to start to entertain transfer rumours on the channel again because we are days away from the January transfer window. So I'm going to start to have those waffles, right? Whether they're true or they're not true. A friend of mine, Rob, tweeted fantastically. Can't remember the number. It'll be up on screen. He said over 100, right? 140 plus players we were linked with. And he's being honest. He's not making this figure up. I've spoken to him privately. He's got a spreadsheet, a data sheet. Every time we're linked with a new player, he records it. Over the summer, we were linked with over 140 players, I believe. It's on screen. And and we signed 11 of those players. So when you see us linked with players, calma, 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 because you just don't know really where that's going. It's just rumors, it's just links, it's agents as well who are taking advantage of the fact that our name is still big, of course, and we are in a spending era right now where we're willing to spend crazy record-breaking fees, and of course, it helps them potentially get new contracts or get other clubs interested or bargain or whatever they want to do. They're not necessarily always actual links, but I will entertain them because we are getting closer, more than you can believe. And finally, and what does that really mean? I mean, for me, that means Broja is in big trouble because I think out of him and Jackson, even though Broja did say on Instagram, be patient with me. And brother, I like you. I've been bigging up Broja. I like his attributes. I like his potential. But as much as I like you, I also like the league table. And right now, I don't like the league table. It looks disgusting. But, you know, I like to have some sort of performance, some sort of goal output. And I think him and Jackson together, it's imbalanced in terms of two young players that are raw and that need to improve and need to go up levels. We probably could do with a balance of one elite, one young. That's what I would prefer. So, bro, you could be on the chopping block, no fault of your own, but just because of poor timing. And Jackson, of course, has performed this season, hasn't been injured, and has at least contributed more. So I think he's on the chopping block potentially in January. We know West Ham and Fulham and all these clubs are interested. And then you move on to the likes of the centre-back situation, Thiago Silva. Contract situation is very much up in the air. Seems like maybe potentially he won't sign a new one. Or not him, but we won't sign him on. Chalobah is almost gone at this point. We know his pure profit. And even Disasi has been linked in those lists with Madueke and others. They did shut that down, but they have kind of flirted with Disasi on these lists, on reports that he could be on a move. So, yeah, another centre-back coming in for me. I've said it before. I don't get it. I get it, but I don't. I know we need pace. I know we need pace in the back line to play a higher line. Fofana brought that. Fofana's injured. Maybe they're giving up on Fofana. But I don't get signing a centre-back in the summer and then replacing him and potentially selling said centre-back. I think that's blasphemy. But anyway, you know. And then finally, before we wrap up, the loan deals, the players that are on their way potentially back. Andre Santos could be used as a midfielder, as we know we were interested in one, but he could be just the player that we bring back and decide to utilise. It's not going to bring any hype, but he will definitely bring intelligence. And of course, he did chip in with goals for the under-20s of Brazil, with headers and all these things. Now, will he be able to do that at senior level in the Premier League with the physicality, leaping in the air and scoring those headers at his age? Yeah, it's a different situation. You know, it's complicated. We'll see. However, I like the kid, and I really, really am disappointed with that Nottingham Forest loan. And I'm disappointed also for Cassidy, because his loan is not going so well, despite under a fellow Italian manager. He said that performances are not up to scratch. How many minutes he's accumulating and playing and getting chances, that's up for debate. Is he working hard enough in training? We'll never know. But his loan is not going according to plan. And that's another one, along with Datro Fofana, along with, well, only Angelo seems to be shelling out right now. I don't know what's happening with Stellina in Belgium. So we need to be careful. And, you know, we spent 20 million a pop on some of these guys, and the loans ain't going great in their first seasons. So yeah, that's the preview. Wolves versus Chelsea. My prediction, if I'm using my head, I'm going to say 1-1. I'm saying that half because I do think it's a tough place to go. I do think that, you know, there's jeopardy on both sides. And it seems like when I don't expect us to win, we win. So let's see if this works. I'm not going to predict a win in the hope that it works, that we get the win. Because when I ask for a win and I say we're going to win, we don't win. You've told me that in the comments. So it's time to switch things up. You guys let me know what you think in the comments down below with your team, with your score prediction, and obviously everything I've mentioned in terms of the news and the rumblings and the ramblings and the rants with Pochettino. Smash up the like, subscribe. I hope you like the new setup. It will be tweaked because I do want you to see this beautiful grill at the bottom. I'm not going to lie, this shit was expensive. I need you to see how nice it is. But I thank you so much for your support as always. 70k, no better way to celebrate it with a new look. And yeah, more on the way. Still making upgrades. So big up your damn selves in a bit, people. Peace.
La